I'm going to do that. Let's see if I am actually on. Okay, so hello everyone. I am hoping that this is actually going. I haven't done live streaming in a while, and not since last spring when the computer I was using was not so great for live streaming, and the office situation I was in was not ideal for that either, but I have changed both. So I thought that I would do a live stream of something that I've never done before, which is I this week bought 3 vintage knitting kits that include yarn plus matching fabric to go along with the sweater that would be knit with this yarn. So there are a couple of people there from that are here. So welcome everyone. I'm glad there are some people watching. So what happened was in my Casual Friday video from a few weeks ago, I told you guys about this curator's colloquium that was put on by the University of Glasgow, and one of the presentations was about a man named Bernat Klein. So he was a well-known textile designer in the mid-century, and eventually he ended up creating his own fabrics and textiles, and that turned into a yarn company, which his wife was a knitter, and so she designed a lot of the patterns, and she really ran that aspect of the company. But one of the things that they mentioned was that they created kits that had yarn plus matching fabric for a skirt, and I thought that was so cool. I'd never heard of such a thing. But last weekend, somebody commented in the thread on that video in my Ravelry group that that was a really common thing, to have these kits that had yarn with matching fabric. And that she had just bought a kit off of eBay. And I was like, oh my God, how did you, like, what were the search terms? And I went on eBay. And the reason that I was so excited about this, in case some of you are not aware, is that for the past couple of years, I've been very interested in vintage and antique sweater patterns and collecting antique and vintage knitting manuals. I have a whole shelf full of 1940s and some earlier knitting manuals. And I have this long-term project of knitting my way through the 20th century, one sweater at a time, decade by decade. And so far, I've done 1904, 1918, 1922, and 1938. I'm just finishing up. I went back one decade to the 1890s, and I'll be finishing that up this month and finish it February. And so I thought it could be really cool if my 1960s project was one of these sweaters that I knit from a kit that included this matching fabric, because that's another thing that I'm wanting to do this summer, is get back and doing a little bit of sewing perhaps. So it really hit all my buttons. I ended up ordering 3 different kits. So 2 of them came Thursday, 1 came Friday, and I thought, geez, you know, this could be an ideal way to do a live stream. So I'm going to open, it was really hard not to open these up. So I'm going to open them up. I'm going to take out the kits, and then we'll open up the kits, and we can look at what the colors are like, what the yarns are like, and see what else is included, because some kits include extra things that other kits do not include. So I'm going to switch to the overhead camera, and you'll still see my face. So this is the first box right here. I'm going to move over a little bit. Let me turn this so that you can see it. There's a lot of you here. That's so nice to see so many of you from all over the place. Ann Arbor, go blue. I went to University of Michigan. So I'm going to open this first one. I opened the sides to make this easier. I don't even know which one is which. I didn't pay attention to who I bought what from. Okay. So I do know that I bought kits from 2 different companies. Oh, that's loud. And none of the kits are Bernat Klein. I mean, that was the thing that sent me on this journey. None of them are Bernat Klein. I did find a Bernat Klein kit on eBay. It was $200, and it was yellow mohair with matching skirt. And I was just like, it was too many things about it that weren't going to work for me. So let me cut this open here so I can get this out more easily. So, oh, this is the one that I bought first. Oh, it's actually a lot more orange than I thought. I thought it was going to be red, so that's something. That's a surprise. So let's turn this. So this is Andrew Stewart, woven in Scotland from pure wool. You guys, I'm so excited by this. Okay, so what we have in here, cardigan, 3/4 or long sleeves, 4 sizes. So that's nice because a lot of the vintage patterns were, let me move so you can see me, were one size. But by the time you get into the 50s and 60s, you get a few more sizes. So, so that's, oh, I see. So it's this sweater with this collar. And look, there's a little label here that you can put inside your skirt, I guess, or maybe it's to put inside your sweater, or it's woven, so that would be inside your skirt. So you can see that this is, I'm looking on my monitor, it looks more like a red-orange on the monitor, but in here, this is orange. It's orange, and you guys, I'm slightly colorblind. I think it's gray, and I think this other one might be green, but it could be brown. I don't know for sure. So this is the fabric. And some of these I know for sure stated that the fabric was like 27 or 28 inches wide. So it's going to be long enough that you can create the panels for the skirt. So, so this is I'm going to smell this to see if it's musty. It is not, does not smell at all. That makes me very happy. So the other pattern, this has for 5 sizes, and I suppose because there's a V-neck and no collar, then, although this has got full-length sleeves and this one's only got 3/4 lengths. Interesting though, I like that. I like this. This could be the one that I knit because this is an interesting shoulder treatment. Oh, this one also says 3/4 or long sleeves. So I don't know why one of them is for 5 sizes and one for 4. So quite a bit of yarn, 1 ounce each. It is obviously a very fine yarn. It is like, I think they would call this as a Shetland wool, like it's a 2-ply. It doesn't say anything on here about gauge. I wonder if the pattern says anything about gauge. 8 stitches and 10 rows to 1 inch. That's actually not that bad. That's bigger than what I knit socks with. So this is going to create a maybe a little bit looser fabric than you would need for socks. And this could be a woolen spun if it's Shetland jumper weight yarn, fine spun Shetland tweed. So it could be that this will bloom as it's knit, but so that's the first kit. I'm so excited. Oh, what is this? Oh, look, okay. So there are, let me get this under the camera right. So there's buttons, matching buttons, a whole bunch of buttons, and then the ribbon that you would sew up inside the button band in order to stabilize it. So that is one of the hardest things about a cardigan, is finding buttons that go well with it. So that is really cool. So this is the first one. This is the one I also paid the least amount of money for. Oh, I'm so happy. Okay, that's the first one. So this is the second one. Let's see, what's the easy way to open this? Oy. This could take a minute. This is the problem with waiting to open it in front of everyone. Is that going to work? You guys are probably yelling at your screens. Just do it this way. You can see the cable for my camera there too. I think I knocked things out of the way. Move that. Boy, they sealed this thing in here. Jeez. I thought this was going to be easier for this one to open. All right. All right. I can feel the plastic on the top here. Okay, so this is the same company, Andrew Stewart. This box is in a little better shape than the original one. It has this tag again, this hand woven in the Shetland Islands. I really like this fabric. Again, I'm going to give it the sniff test. It smells a little musty. This is got kind of a dark blue and a light blue, and then again, colorblind. It's either gray or green. I don't know which. So this is a lovely wool. I hope I can get the must smell out of it. Oh, and this comes with buttons too. Only one of the kits when I was ordering it indicated that there were buttons. And so I'm happy to see that this one has buttons as well. Although it seems like it has less yarn and no pattern, which makes me wonder if somebody used some of the yarn at some point and then sold the kit this way, because I would have guessed that there would have been more yarn in here originally compared to what the other one had. So that's a little disappointing that may be the case, but you never know. Oh wait, is this a pattern? Nope. What is this? This is just a ruler. That's interesting. It comes with a ruler. All right. Final box. This one I know is from a different company. And I think this is the one where when I saw the color online, I was the most excited about it. So this one says Isle of Bute Pack, hand-woven tweed and knitting yarn made in Scotland. So this has got 1 3/4 yards, 27-inch wide hand-woven tweed, and a bright color. So let me take this out. Oh, look at this! It's like it's a little carrying case, like a little knitting bag. So once again, sniff test. Smells fine. Smells fine. Oh, this is me. Like, because I'm slightly colorblind, I really like bright colors. And to me, this is so beautiful. What I don't see in here is, again, there's no knitting pattern in here. And there are no buttons or a grosgrain ribbon or anything like that. But it does appear to have all of the yarn and beautiful fabric. This actually feels very soft. I was wondering about how the fabric would feel. I am amazed at how soft this fabric actually is. And so this just says knitting wool. And this is more of this looks like a 3-ply yarn. The other yarn was a 2-ply. Oh, this says 4-ply. So this is a little bit different than the other yarns, which is a really nice thing to find out. So let me switch back to just face to the camera. Oh, let me turn this again. That window is so bright there. So that was my exciting unboxing. I have never done anything like that. I usually, something shows up on my doorstep, I just open it, but there was just this group of things and it hit all of the buttons in terms of things that I'm really interested in lately that I thought I would share that with you. So if there's any questions anybody has, I'm going to look through the chat and see if anybody has any questions. If you do have a question for me, type the word question in large caps. It makes it a lot easier when I'm scrolling through to see. So we've got people from all over the place: Indiana, Ann Arbor, Cape Town, South Africa, Dorset, England, San Diego, Iowa, Tucson, Plymouth, UK. We have a Plymouth here in the Twin Cities. It's one of the suburbs. So thank you for saying UK. Massachusetts. Somebody said, will I be able to keep my enthusiasm for Finish at February with all those new projects? Yes, it's very exciting. I am kind of wanting to go through the decades in order. I've done a little bit out of order. I did my 1930s before my 1920s, but part of what I'm trying to do in this long-term project is to really see how techniques evolved, or how the preferred techniques became more widespread, because we always had most of the techniques that we use today existed 100 years ago, but which versions of them and how they were used tended to change. So I am interested in kind of going a little bit more in order for doing that. But yeah, who knows if I'll get to it this year or not. Greetings from the Netherlands. Hello. My daughter might be on here as well from the Netherlands. I might have zoomed past her name. New York City. Oh, hi, Billy. Western Wisconsin. Can't wait to see the finished products. Yeah, you and me both. Let's see, Saskatchewan, Holland, Michigan. My mom lives near Holland. Question, could you use the first pattern with the yarn in the third? Potentially. This is a 4-ply yarn, which means fingering weight. And so, what I'm going to do is look up this yarn on Ravelry and see if there's any indication about what gauge, because normally I might think of a 4-ply as being 7 to 7.5 stitches per inch. This looks to me like a worsted spun yarn, not a woolen spun yarn, so it's also not going to sort of bloom the way that a woolen spun yarn would work, but it's very possible. And also I have to see what sizes they have in there. Potentially I could get whatever gauge is correct for this yarn and then possibly choose a different size that would have the right stitch counts. That might be one way. It's going to be nice though to have a variety of sizes instead of one size and no gauge and trying to figure out my way through the pattern. So that will be nice. Where did I find the kits? I found them on eBay. So the person who posted in my Ravelry group, I don't know if she got a kit that was this brand, this Andrew Stewart brand. I don't know if that was one, but she also had posted a picture of one that she had wanted, and I think that might be one of the ones I got, might have been one that she had been looking at. So I found out, so I used that as a search term to start with, Andrew Stewart. I think I searched on Andrew Stewart vintage knitting kit, and then I kind of looked, and then later I was wondering, I wonder if any of those Bernat Klein ones are out there, and so I searched on Bernat Klein knitting kit and did find one that had this yellow mohair and yellow fabric, which that would end up being something that if I made it, I wouldn't wear it. So I'd like to make something that I, at least in my head, think I'm going to wear someday, even if I'm decades older than who it was intended for. were the kits very expensive? Can we order them, and how long did it take to receive them? It's whoever happens to have one on eBay. I bought these from 3 different sellers, and the first one, the one that was orangey, was one where I actually had to put a bid on it. It was the auction wasn't going to end for a couple of days, and then I was like, oh, is someone going to wait till the last minute and outbid me? So that one was $69, and then you have to pay, you know, tax and shipping and whatever. One of them was, I think this Butte one was maybe $100, and then the one that is the blue fabric that I think might be missing some yarn and doesn't have a pattern, I paid somewhere like $75, something like that. So, and then the Bernat Klein one was $200. So I guess you just go on eBay, and I don't use eBay that much. I think there's a way you can say watch for similar items or something. So these were all listed in a very similar way. You could see what those listings that I got were like. If you search for Andrew Stewart vintage yarn kit or knit kit or something, you'll be able to see the listings that I bought, and it'll say that it's been sold, but that'll help you figure out the search terms. And then the other one was this Isle of Butte. So you could also search to see if there are any of those yarn kits, but I don't know any other names. It's like when I was starting to buy vintage books, I needed a title to start with so then I could learn what to search for and authors to look for and things like that. I missed the beginning. Did you say what you're saying planning to do with the woven fabric? Do you also sew? Do you have someone who will make you pants or a skirt? Well, the whole idea of these kits was that the yardage is in order to make a matching skirt. And since I want to do this as part of my project, I would make a skirt from it. And the kind of skirt I make from it, I don't know that it'll be from a vintage pattern. I mean, it's been so long since this past year, sitting at home with elasticized pants, I'm just thinking about, wearing something with a waistband. It just makes me cringe. But I mean, it could be something that would be nice in the future if I ever teach in person again to wear something like that. But I sew a little bit. I am not a great sewer. I used to make my kids' Halloween costumes all the time, so I can follow directions. I don't have the same ability in sewing that I have in knitting, though. From the Netherlands, should there be patterns in all 3 kits? And what will you do with the second kit? Return? No, I'm not going to return it. It's interesting on its own, even if I don't use it as it was intended. I certainly have 2 other kits that I can use. And it could be the person who had it didn't know that it wasn't complete. They were saying what was in there, and I'm not going to try to return it. I don't know. I would assume, I don't know. Sometimes there just might be, I can see why a kit of just yarn and fabric could be something that would be sold. But I can also see why there would be a knitting pattern kit. A knitting pattern and yarn is how you see kits today. But this combination of yarn and fabric, I really don't know if there should have been a pattern or not. And I'm buying something that's vintage. And so you get what you get, and I'm not going to return it. So yeah, I would do the sewing myself. I'm not going to. I don't even know who I'd ask. I mean, most of my friends who are knitters, or not most of them, a lot of knitters also sew. That was something I found out when I joined my first knitting groups, because I had knit in isolation for like 19 years. I didn't know any other knitters. And when I kind of came back to knitting in 2005, I discovered there were so many knitters online, and I was able to find knitting groups. And that was the very first time when Halloween was coming up, when everyone in the knitting group was going to make their kids' Halloween costumes. I had always made my kids' Halloween costumes, and nobody else in my kids' classes had parents who made their costumes. And so I was like, oh, if you like one craft, usually there's some other craft you do. It may not be sewing, it might be crochet, it might be embroidery, it might be spinning, it might be something else. But usually if you have one craft where you're using your hands a lot, there's something else that you like as well. You like making things. So All right. Aloha from Hawaii. So I don't know, how much do they cost? Could you use the third pattern? I could, yeah. I don't know if there's any other questions. So yeah, somebody said, I didn't know you're going to go live. Yeah, I didn't tell anybody because I haven't done it in so many months. And the idea was, let's just experiment. And if it's a disaster, it doesn't matter. And I don't have to save this, but I will probably save this so that if you missed the beginning or you want to tell somebody about it or whatever, it'll be on my channel under the live streams sometime after I stop the recording. So I'm going to check for a couple of more questions, and if there isn't any, then I will sign off. So I'm so happy that you guys joined me for this, and let me just see if there's any more questions. How is the texture of the yarn? I would say this 4-ply yarn just feels like a regular 4-ply yarn you'd get today. It feels very much like a regular fingering weight wool yarn. It's not, I always do it's not terribly scratchy. I mean, I never wear something against my skin anyway when I wear a sweater, so I would always have something underneath it regardless. The other ones, let me feel. This one, it's pretty soft. It's pretty soft. Again, I don't know that I'd wear it against my bare skin. I'd probably wear a camisole or something underneath it. It's pretty soft. Pretty soft. I mean, it's not merino, you guys. So, but it seems reasonable. And these are sweaters that were meant to be tightly fit. So, nobody would want to wear something super itchy against their skin. But it's surprisingly soft, I think. Let's see, any more questions? What size are the knitting patterns? Oh, let me pull this one up. I'll see. One of them has 4 sizes and one has 5. So let's look at the one with the 5 sizes. Each fitting for bust size 34, 36, 38, 40, and 42. So there's certainly a size in there for me. So this one's 34 to 42 in 2-inch increments. The one that has the interesting neck. And this one, 34, 36, 38, and 40. So the one that I actually like better goes up to fit 42. Now what the finished size is, they don't say. But looking at that, it looks like it's probably no ease at all. So that might also be the finished measurement. I really don't know. But I can figure that out easily enough by calculating the number or looking at the number of stitches and then dividing by the gauge, and then I'll know how big it actually is. I didn't actually look. There might be a schematic. No schematic. So that's it. Let's see, any more question? Hi, New Zealand. It's a cute someone from, you guys are really from all over today. Geez, South Africa, New Zealand, Europe. Hi from Denmark. So that's going to be it, you guys. This is, hopefully I'll be doing more live streams coming up now that I've got the right equipment to do that, and my setup and my new office allows me to do this a lot more easily than my old office allowed me to do. So I don't know what those live streams will look like. It could be that as I am working on something in a project, I might decide to do a live stream and just let you guys see me doing something. And that might be something interesting and finish it February possibly, as I put together my Aran sweater, because I did knit it flat in pieces, and I'll be seaming it and doing different things with it. So I'll be doing some seaming and picking up stitches and all that kind of thing. If that's of any interest, I might do a live stream on that at some point. So thank you all. Oh wait, one more question. Will you do any more unboxings? I don't know. It depends on if I ever buy something like this again. This was a really unusual thing for me. Potentially, I could do something where I order vintage patterns and receive them and don't really know what's in them. I could look through them. But this is not something that I've ever bought before. I had never heard of this kind of thing. And it was just because I got all three at one time that I thought might be fun to show you guys in case you had never heard of this kind of thing either. Oh, a hi from England. I've knit with the Butte wool and it's a lovely 4-ply. So it seems like it. I'm really excited. I almost wonder if this is not a 1960s, but maybe this might be from the 70s. Just I'm looking at the font. This, I don't know. This, maybe Billy knows. She might know if that kind of a font is more of a 60s or 70s looking thing. So I think that's it. I think I'm going to end the stream. I thank you all for coming. I'm so happy that you showed up on literally no notice to watch me do my live stream. So I will see you on Tuesday for a new Technique Tuesday video.